my name is Grace, and today I'm starting a series for us Christian wives and mothers, but especially wives, based on Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And that series is on how to be a helpmeet to our husbands. So the base Bible verse is, as I said, Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And it reads, And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. And that would be us as wives. So as always, when we're looking for reference in regards to godly living, to God's desires for us, let's look in the Bible. So we're going to do a series. I'm starting a series on different women in the Bible, different godly women in the Bible, and that we're going to study how they, by the things that he did, the things that he said, their character, how they were helpmeets to their husbands, and what can we learn from it and better ourselves as helpmeets to our husbands. So without further ado, I am starting today with, drumroll, Sara, Abraham's wife. So we are going to look at different Bible verses. If you want to read the whole story in regards to Abraham and Sarah, you can. Sorry if I look down, is that I'm looking at my phone, which has the Bible verses. So please forgive me for that. So we have the story of Sarah. As you hear me talk, I speak English. My mother tongue is French. I speak Franglish. So you might hear Sarah, because in French we will say Sara. In English, I heard people say Sara, said Sarah. Bear with me with that. You can read the story of Sarah along with Abraham's story. So it's Genesis chapter from chapter 12 to, I think, from chapter 12 to chapter 23. That's when Sarah dies. So if you want to read the whole story, I advise you to do so if you've never done so. And even if you have already, the Bible it's a diamond. You can read it one day, you see one, face of it. You read the other day, you see another face of it, and there's like thousands faces. So always good to read the word of the Lord, even if you have already in the past. So we'll go through some Bible verses, and the first one I want to go to is one in Peter, because when we look at Sarah, we might be thinking, okay, so was she a godly woman who was a helpmeet to her husband? And the New Testament does seem to say so. What do we like? What's the testimony that we have on Sarah or Sarah in the New Testament? In the New Testament, we have Peter writing to the church, and he writes in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse. Let's start from verse 1. Okay, we'll read it from 1 to 6. So likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair, and of wearing of gold, and of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. For after this manner in the old time the holy woman the for after this manner in the old time for after this manner in the old time the holy women also who trusted in God adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. So the Apostle Peter is saying that Sarah was a very godly woman and that we should follow her example. So let's go to some Bible verses in the story of Sarah and Abraham. So we'll start with so we'll start in Genesis chapter 16, verse 1 to 2. It says, Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram at the time, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. Then let's go to Genesis chapter 18, verse 12. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After am I waxed old, shall I have pleasure? My Lord, note my Lord, being old also. Then we'll go to Genesis chapter 21, verse 7. So now she got pregnant with Isaac. She gave birth. And then she said, and it's written, Genesis chapter 21, verse 7. And she said, Who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. So from these Bible verses, at first I was like, okay, but she did something wrong when she gave him Hagar instead of trusting the word of the Lord. But now that used to be how I was thinking. But now, as I look at it, I see in Sarah a desire to help her husband. So I see in Sarah a teaching about assessing your husband. The message today, this video today is really about assessing your husband. I do believe that as wives, we are called to assess our husbands. What do I mean? Is that Sarah, she was assessing her husband, Abraham. Where is Abraham at? Where is Abraham at socially? And she realized that socially speaking, especially in these times, he was lacking an offspring. He was lacking a child. And especially in that time, and especially considering that Abraham was really rich, it was a lack. And she was assessing her husband and socially, and she's like, he's missing something. So what do I have that I can give to him to help him? And she thought, yeah, I have this maid. She's young and probably capable of having children. And let me give him to him so that I can bear him children through her. Now, today in 2022, it sounds weird, but in that time and age and in that culture, in that region, it was normal to do so. Let's remember, it was certainly not a sin. Let's remember Rachel and Leah, Jacob's wives. They both gave him their maids to bear children, and it was so acceptable that even God accepted them as the real and legitimate sons of Jacob, and they started the tribes of Israel. So, and their names is even considered in the New Jerusalem. So there was nothing wrong in what she did. It wasn't a sin. I think some people, they might think that she sinned, that she didn't sin. At that time, it was completely okay to do so. And okay, now it wasn't the perfect plan of God. It wasn't faith in the promise of God, but that's not the purpose of today's video. Today's video is really about her heart. What led her to that decision. And I really see that she was assessing her husband, finding that something was lacking, and thinking, what do I have that I can give him to help him in that situation? And I think we should all have this way of thought. And in that verse in the first Bible verse that I read, it said that I will give him my maid, that I might give him children through her. And we might be thinking, oh, okay, that's a selfish way of thinking. She's not really thinking about him, but she's thinking about her. But when we read the last verse that we read, that said in Genesis chapter 21, verse 7, and she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And we see there that she wanted to give him a child because he was lacking in that area. And so the question we need to ask ourselves as wives is, where's my husband at? This is called assessing your husband. And I think we're called to do so and ask this in many aspects of his life. Where's my husband at spiritually? Where is your husband, where is your husband at spiritually? Does he read his Bible? Does he obey the Bible? Is he sinning? Is he living in sin? Is he even a Christian? Is he portraying the Christian life but hiding sins that only you know? Or is he flourishing in his Christian walk? Where is your husband at spiritually? And if you feel that there's some improvement that is needed, or some places where there is lack, what do you have that you can use to help him? Do you have a Bible you can give him? Certainly you have God, you have prayer, you have faith, you have tools like fasting. And one of the most important things that we can do for our husbands as wives is fall down on our knees, pray and fast for them. Maybe your husband is not even a Christian, but do you pray for him? Do you fast for him? Are you the one complaining, oh, my husband is not so into his Christian walk? I feel like he doesn't read his Bible, he doesn't pray, he doesn't do that, he will never fast, he is not at all where I would want him to be, blah, 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 blah. Why don't you just pray and fast for him? You certainly do have that. So where is your husband at spiritually? Where is your husband at financially? Is he able to provide for the family, to make ends meet? Or he's not able to cover all the needs? You know? And if so, what do you have that you can use to help him? To be a helpmeet to him? This is why I'm really against women who condemn other women for working outside of the home. Because in her situation might exactly be what God is calling her to do as a helpmeet. Let's say your husband is working 60 hours a week, day and some evening shifts too, and sometimes weekend. and he's still not making ends meet. What are you going to do? Cross your arms and complain? Oh, he's not working enough. He's not making enough money. Blah 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 blah. I can't even be a stay-at-home mom. No. Why don't you? Maybe what you're called to do right now is work. Think about it. Pray about it. Fast about it always, and then see. No, you need to assess. Okay, my husband is not capable of covering all the payments we need to do and all that we need to have every month, even though he's working so much. So what can I do? Maybe I can reduce this. Maybe what can I do? Maybe I can reduce this, reduce that. Maybe I can take on some part-time job. Maybe I can learn a skill and try selling stuff, or even teaching people on the internet. Maybe there's some things I can do to help him make ends meet. So that's the mindset of Sarah. Where's my husband at financially right now? What do I have that I can use to help him? Where's your husband at? Where's your husband at emotionally? That's a good one. Where's your husband at emotionally? I really do believe that God has given women a particular sense that we're able to pick on and to sense and to know and to discern the emotions of someone. I think that's a gift that God has given women. Unfortunately, some women use that as a mean to manipulate, because they know how to get you by your emotions. So they use that as a mean to manipulate. But I think that it is a God-given gift to help us in the roles of loving our husbands and loving our children and helping others. I think it's really a neat and nice gift to have. And we can certainly, and we should certainly use it in regards to our own husbands. So where is your husband at emotionally right now? Do you feel like he's depressed? He comes home and he's anxious, he's tired, he's yelling at everyone. What do you have that you can use to help him? Sometimes it's a matter of, when you come back home, I have your little place reserved for you on the couch with a drink, and you can raise your feet, and you have, I don't know, what your husband likes. And you can rest there for, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Take a nap if you need, before you come and join the family on our crazy evening schedules. Maybe it's a matter of that. Maybe it's a matter of not barking when he comes back home about XYZ. Maybe it's a matter of showing interest to him. How was your day? Is there anything I can do to help you? You had a rough day. Is there anything I can do to help you? Is a big hug going to help you a little bit? We come back home, we're all stressed out, especially if, like me, you do things outside of home. Your children go to school, and then you come back home. You have to take care of, clean the lunches, clean this, do that. Make the dinner. You have to make dinner fast because the children have to go to sleep like in 2 hours, and and you don't have time to connect to your husband and even just ask, a meaningful, how was your day? I do insist on the meaningful, because sometimes, how was your day? It's like how are you? And you don't really care the answer. How are you? I'm fine. Okay. Okay. Well, I asked it, checked. No, a meaningful, how was your day? And you really want to know, and you really want to assess, how you can help him. Even in those short times, you can assess, Your husband comes home and is like, oh, it was a crazy day. I don't even want to tell you. You assess, okay, he had a crazy day. What do I have that I can use to help him? And sometimes you don't know, sometimes you feel clueless. But let's not forget that we have a Heavenly Father we can and should go to. He is our Father, He is our husband's father. He is our boss, He is his boss. So run to Him when you feel clueless, and actually every day, run to Him. We should start our mornings praying, God, help us to be helpmeets to our husbands. Help us to love our husband. No, God, help me to love my husband. Help me to love my children. Help me to be a good helpmeet to my husband. Help me to glorify your name and the way I treat my husband and my children. He will. He will do so. So where's your husband at emotionally? Where's your husband at socially? That's a weird one, but it's an important one. Do you feel like your husband is just lonely? Doesn't have any friend? Doesn't have any good Christian friend? I do believe that it's important for men to have good Christian men around them that can be good examples for them, especially if they were not raised in a Christian family. You know, does he know any Christian men? Do you feel like he's only surrounded by his non-Christian friends? And you know they're not a good example to him? What can you do about this? Think about it. What do you have? What God has given you that you can use to help him in that regards? Sometimes it's a matter of, maybe of telling him things like suggesting to him, maybe we should join the church, the little groups at church, the house groups at church. Maybe it's a matter of going to church. It's probably going to be very hard for you guys to meet other Christians if you don't go to church. Maybe it's a matter of, maybe your husband is at school, at university, and most universities and colleges, they have Christian groups. And in countries where they are allowed to, maybe it's a matter of suggesting to him, maybe you could join the Christian group in university or in your college. Or in your school. I mean, he might even be in high school still. I don't know. You could be married and he's like 21 and he's finishing his high school. I don't know. So maybe he's suggesting this to him. Maybe you have a Christian friend and she has a husband who's Christian, and maybe it's a matter of doing a double date to let the guys meet, see how it goes. Maybe you don't even have any Christian friends, and maybe you're seeking some. Maybe you go to church and you still feel like nothing is connecting. Again, you have a Heavenly Father. Fall on your knees, pray. He will help you. I do believe it's God's desire for us to have Christian friends. The word of the Lord says that iron sharpens iron. Likewise, a friend sharpens a friend. And I know we are the helpmeets of our husbands, and we certainly can help them, but I truly believe that there's a different way in which a Christian friend that is a man can help your husband that you cannot. And it might even just be a thing of example. You are women, you're not called to the same things that men are. And for your husband to see other Christian fathers, Christian husbands, Christian workers, Christian people out there walk the Christian way in all areas of their lives, I do believe that it brings something different that you as his wife cannot bring. So where's your husband at socially? Where's the reputation of your husband? I really think that is Sarah. She probably thought about this. So my husband is really rich, I know, but he has no children. And I feel like people are talking on his back. And, the guy, he has no children. He's 86 or whatever. He's 84. And making fun of him. I have to do something for that because they're making fun of us. Where is your husband socially in terms of reputation? Did your husband do something bad that ruined his reputation? What can you do as his wife to help him? Maybe it's a matter of standing up with him, of not making fun of him with others. Being careful of how you speak about your husband to your friends. That's an important one. Sometimes women, they don't realize, they're just complaining about their husbands in front of their friends, and their friends are going to repeat that to their husbands or whoever, and that's placing a bad reputation on your husband. Oh, that guy doesn't help. That guy doesn't do this. That guy doesn't do that. He's not a good husband. All of that based on what? On what you said. So you are like ruining the reputation of your husband. Mm-mm-mm. That's not help me wise. So in regards to like where's your husband at socially in terms of reputation, a good part of it is what do you do with your mouth? You spend your time complaining about him. He's not doing this. When your sister, your friend, she's complaining about her husband, how he doesn't do this. What do? Do you say, oh, my husband doesn't either? Or do you praise your husband for the things that he does well and contribute to building him a good reputation? So, all in all, the message today is really a message of how can we be helpmeets to our husbands? How can you be a helpmeet to your husband? How can I be a helpmeet to my husband? By assessing our husbands in the various areas of their lives and thinking about what do we have? And if we sense that there's some improvement that is needed or there's some places where there's lack, what do we have that what God has given us that we can use to help them? And even it could be sexually. Where's my husband at sexually? Do we have sex enough? Does he feel fulfilled about it? Does he even want to? Is there anything I have that I can use to help him? Sometimes it's a matter of, I have realized in my couple, a lot of times women are like, husbands, they have this sexual drive, and they want to do it. And it's true, it's really true. But the day you deny, let's say your husband is, keen on having sex, and you say, no, it really, really affects them. Now, I'm not saying that you should always say yes if you don't want to. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, be aware that it will affect him in such a way that it might be that the next day he will not want to make the first move. And he will expect you to make the first move to show him that you're interested. So one advice for women, don't always believe that he will do the first moves. Sometimes it's for you to initiate it. So that might be, I feel like my husband sexually, there's something in there. What can I do? Maybe I can initiate it. Maybe I can wear some lingerie one day, and you know what else you can do. So really, as helpmeets, I believe what we can do is assess our husbands where they are at. We already do this for our children. I mean, we already do this for our children. Or this child is not doing good in French class. He's doing good in math, so that's fine. We don't need to focus on maths. He's talking too much with his friend. That's cool. I have to talk to him about this. Or there's a hole in his sock. I need to buy him new socks. Or the clothing is too small. I need to buy him new clothing. He eats a little bit too much junk food. You need to improve on fruits and veggies. Or too much video games. Let's go out and play basketball or whatever. We already do that for our children. And I don't want to compare our children to our husbands, but the word of the Lord does compare them when it says, love your husband, love your children. So I think it's important that we assess our husbands where they are so that we can be good helpmeets to them. Because how are we going to help someone if we don't know where they need help? It's probably going to be difficult. So it's an important thing to assess where is your husband at? So the question we have today is, where are our husbands at in their lives, and how we can help them? And I wanted to note also, where are they purposefully? I don't know if it's a word, but in terms of their calling. If you know your husband's calling already, let's give an example. I don't know. Your husband works, but in the evenings, thrice a day, thrice a week, he is a basketball coach. He's doing this, volunteering in a neighborhood where there's a lot of drug dealers and gangs, and he's doing that to help their children get out of the gangs into sport, in that case basketball, to get them out of trouble. And let's say he doesn't have a lot of children getting into that program. What can you do to help him? Maybe you can pass out tracts. Maybe you can tell your children to speak to the children in the neighborhood that he's doing that program. You can certainly pray about it. So that's something else. And if you don't know his calling, like his specific calling, I do believe that God leads us in our callings. Let's think about Moses. He was like active in his calling at 80 years old. But all the years before, God was preparing him. So if your husband is not active in his calling, he's probably in the preparation mode. So you can pray, oh God, help him to be well prepared, that he grasp all that he has to grasp. Show me how I can help him in his preparation mode. Show us his calling. Help us to not be afraid to walk in his calling. And I really honestly believe that the man's calling is always going to be also your calling in one way or another, because you're a helpmeet. You're part of his calling. You're always part of his calling. So that is that for today's video. I hope it was a blessing for you all. I pray that the Holy Spirit speaks to each one of us in how we can be better helpmeets, and how we can assess our husbands, and how we can rightfully assess them. And I pray that God will lead us. So I really, guys, if you enjoyed that video, please leave a comment if you liked it, if you disliked it, if you have a suggestion for improvements, if there are some women you want me to speak about, some women in the Bible. I can tell you there's a lot of women going to talk about. Next time, we are going to talk about Abigail. And so I will advise you guys to read 1 Samuel chapter 25. And that's where we'll find the story of Abigail. So that's for next week. Or maybe sometimes for next week. So that's for next week. I'm probably going to post 2 videos per week, one in the beginning of the week, one in the end. On that series, we have a lot of women to cover, and I really believe it's going to be a blessing for all of us. So please leave a comment if you like, subscribe, put on the notification bell, because I'm going to release 2 by week. And leave comments. I would love to read from you guys, and read how you like that video. So again, I pray that the Lord blesses you all and your families, and have a nice weekend, guys. Bye.